My name is Elijah Dearborn, and this is my final presentation for the beginning Ministerial Internship course on Pathways. Mistakes. We all make them. The best thing we can do is to anticipate them ahead of time and to work to correct them beforehand. Craig Goschel in his leadership podcast gave two models of leadership. Reactionary leadership, which means we work to fix a problem after it occurs, and anticipatory leadership, which means we solve a problem before it occurs. Anticipating mistakes means knowing the strengths, weaknesses, and proclivities of you, your team, coworkers, and whoever else. Reminding a coworker to not forget something they usually forget is a great way to correct the problem before it happens. For ourselves, it can mean setting up accountability, reminders, scheduling, double-checking our work, and creating habits that work to correct and strengthen our weaknesses. There are a million ways to correct mistakes before they happen. The only requirement is this: know yourself and your team. Ministerial has a system he calls the Red X system. It works something like this. First, ask the question, who do you want to be? Not when you quote-unquote grow up and have it all together, but here and now, in this season of life, in your shoes, who do you want to be? You want to keep it attainable, but still challenging. Maybe this version of you gets up at 6, or reads a book every 2 months or so. Maybe this person is learning the piano. Whatever it is, write it down. Make an attainable lifestyle that you'd like to start implementing. Once you have that, you want to start finding the X's in your life. These are the deviations or distractions that are keeping you from becoming the you you'd like to become. If you want to consistently wake up at 6 a.m., keep track of when you wake up. Figure out why you wake up when you wake up, and then work to correct it. If you wake up at 8, mark it down and figure out why it happened. Look at the night before, look at the sleep schedule you have set up, look at the systems you have in place, and then adjust accordingly. That is what he calls solving for the why, the solution that you want. This is a fantastic system that can be implemented to detect and correct mistakes, to keep oneself on track for your goals. But it's also up to us to beat the mistake to the punch. For example, I grew up addicted to video games, and I still love them a little bit too much. So if I ever want to get a PC for video games, then I'll need to set up a time limit, or schedule out a block of time for games to keep myself from playing until my brain turns to mush. That said, as Brian Dollar puts it, mistakes are inevitable. They can be anticipated and avoided, but we're human, and some things simply can't be predicted. An important question to ask, then, is if we're going to make mistakes, how do we respond to them in a way that brings healing and reconciliation to the wronged and to ourselves? Firstly, we need the humility to own our mistakes. Saying, "I'm sorry this never should have happened," can go a long way. Much farther, I'm learning, than something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, I just didn't have the time." Accepting and expressing "I was wrong" without minimizing or excusing our failure is huge. And asking, "What can I do to make it right?" and then doing that with the utmost diligence goes a long way towards repairing the situation as well as the relationship. Mistakes can often lead to an insecurity in identity or a problem in fear, guilt, or shame. There's a process Dollar recommends for working through our failures and mistakes. First, giving ourselves the time to feel the weight of our mistake and internalizing and reconciling things within ourselves. Being internally reconciled enables us to do a far better job reconciling things externally. Take the time to also examine and ask what happened, how it happened, if it was avoidable, and what could have been done differently for next time. Then work towards reconciliation. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. What can I do to make it right?" That is such a simple and yet amazing model for reconciliation that Brian gives us. Finally, if you want to work and make things right, take preventative measures so that it and anything like it will never happen again. After that, turn the page and let God write the next one. Failure doesn't have to be final. Mistakes are inevitable, but we can often anticipate them and course correct things before they happen, or at least before they turn into bigger problems. It is best to open the can of worms rather than let it fester and become a barrel of snakes. Sometimes, though, we do make mistakes, and so then we need to work towards reconciliation and take preventative measures for next time. And remember, failure is the greatest teacher, but the worst friend. Learn from your failures and move on from them. God bless.